नमस्ते बेटियों, खुश रहिए. I JVN Muskan Kumari from the Department of Science and Technology, and I'm working here as an assistant professor in JVWU Women's University and the Faculty of Education and Technology. So today I will discuss with you the transmission digital and digital data transmissions or data transmissions, that is similar things. Now today, so during the discussion of this session, I just want to share some files with you, which will make you in easy way to understanding that this all the topics, isn't it? So here, digital transmission. Now, what is the digital transmission? Okay, so data can be represented either in the analog or digital form, which I have already discussed this session in the previous, that signals, analog signal, digital signal, periodic signal, and aperiodic signal. So that is the same data transmissions in the sense digital transmission. Data can be transmitted either in the analog or digital form. The computer used the digital form to store the informations. Therefore, the data needs to be converted into the digital form so that it can be used by the computers. If you talk about the digital to digital conversion, then what happens here? Digital to digital conversion encoding is the representation of digital information by a digital signal also. When binary value, there is only two value of the binary. First is 1 and second is the 0. When binary ones and zeros generated by computer are translated into the sequence of voltage pulse that can be propagated over a wire. This process is known as digital to digital encoding process. Suppose you can see here that the conversion of the binary value, and this is just digital encoding, digital to digital encoding, isn't it? So the that is transmitted like this type of signals, isn't it? Now, in digital to digital conversion, you can see here the unipolar encoding is used, polar encoding will be used, bipolar encoding will be used. So what is the unipolar, bipolar, and polar? So unipolar digital transmission system needs the voltage pulse over the medium link like the wire or cable, and in most of the time encoding, one voltage level represents 0 and other voltage level represents 1, okay, at a time. The polarity of each pulse determines whether it is positive or negative, and also the encoding is known as unipolar encoding as it uses the one polarity. In unipolar encoding, the polarity is assigned to the one binary state. In this, ones are represented as a positive value and zero are represented as a zero value. So in unipolar encoding, I is one is considered as a high voltage and zero is considered as a zero voltage. So unipolar encoding is simpler and inexpensive to implement. Clear? Now, this is the diagram which will explain or signifies you the here is the amplitude and voltage, here is the timing. Here you can see that there are two values 0 and 1. 0 when there is no any happenings in this voltage or amplitude with regarding to the time. 1 when they are up lifted towards up, then it is 1. So at a time one will be the 0 and another will be 1. Now, unipolar encoding has two problems that make this scheme less desirable. First is the DC components, and second is the synchronization. This is the most topic related to your EC subjects. So there is in computer networking there is no required to deeply more regarding this all the things. What is amplitude, timing, and what is the in unipolar encoding? What is the their functions, isn't it? So only understand the basic. So now polar. Polar encoding is encoding a scheme that use two voltage levels, one is positive and another is negative. By using two voltage level, as average voltage level is reduced and the DC component problem of unipolar encoding scheme is elevated. Now If you talk about the analog to digital conversion, when an analog signal is digitized, this is called an analog to digital conversion. And suppose human sends a voice in the form of analog signal, and we need to digitize the analog signal in which less prone to noise. It requires a reduction in the number of values in an analog message so that they can be represented in the digital string format. Clear? So in analog to digital conversion, the information contained in a continuous wave from is converted to the digital pulses. Now there are some techniques for the analog to digital conversion are PAM. PAM stands for Pulse Amplitude Modulation. PAM is a technique which is used in analog to digital conversion. PAM is a technique that takes analog signal, samples it, and generates a series of digital pulses, which is based on the result of sampling, where sampling means measuring the amplitude of a signal or equal intervals. Now, if we talk about the palm techniques, so palm technique is not useful in the data communication as it also translates the original waveform into the pulses, but these pulses are not in the digital. So to make the digital palm techniques is modified to PCM techniques. Okay, so this is all about your the digital transmissions, in which you can see that the palm is the simpler diagram that there is a signal that is converted into the analog conversion or analog to digital or analog digital conversion, that is the coding, and that is in the form of the signals techniques, isn't it? So this is all about your the sessions of what is the basic digital transmissions, where all we are talking mostly about the data transmissions, how data is converted from analog to digital, how they are going to reach to the server side, isn't it? So the I have read in this one digital to digital conversion, analog to digital conversion. Okay, so there are various techniques I have read of these two, digital to digital and analog to digital. So if you have any problems in this section, in this query, in this session, then please let me know regarding your query. I will solve that query in the next session, and please be prepared the possible questions, and also read this session from multiple standard book and whatever the open source website is available for, which gives you the informative documents and contents regarding these topics. Okay, so we prepare all the questions, whatever the questions, like what define the unipolar, how digital to digital conversion happens, how what is the analog to digital conversion, isn't it? Then please define this all in the concise way. Okay, so thank you.